So at this point, I'm picking my son up every day from school, dropping him off and picking him up. You know, my son has the best of everything. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, what the fuck are you even talking about? I don't know what this man is telling you, but bitch, you got the game fucked up, because at this point, my baby daddy, he stayed with somebody. He was staying with his brother. His brother had a girlfriend. The girlfriend had a kid. And so they packed up in a 2-bedroom apartment with them two whole different families, him and his brother. They packed up in their apartment like roaches. So I'm like, what are you even talking about? You know, so she's texting my phone, oh, do what's best for your son for once, this and the third. I'm like, bitch, again, this nigga's gay and on the down low. Did you know that? Since you know every degree, you stupid fucking bitch.
How does a father who's not even on the birth certificate convince the courts to take a child from his mother? How does a summer visit turn into a year-long separation? What she's about to tell you will make you question everything you thought you knew about co-parenting and custody battles. Hey family, today we're talking about something that hit me hard when I first heard it. A mother fighting to get her son back from a man who legally had no rights to keep him in the first place. No custody agreement, not on the birth certificate, nothing. But somehow he's had her child for over a year now. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. There's gotta be more to this story, and you're right, there is. But what makes this case so disturbing isn't just what he did, it's how he did it. The manipulation, the lies, the system that failed to protect a child. This woman is gonna tell you her story in her own words. And I need you to listen closely, because the lessons here, they could save somebody you know from going through the same thing. Let's get into it.
Buckle up. So this all started about 10 years ago when I first had my son and my baby daddy was in prison. When he was in prison, that's when I started getting into, you know, hoodoo and voodoo and started doing spell work and stuff like that, right? Once he got out of prison, I ended up getting into a witch war over him with this girl from Louisiana. That's another story for another time. But when my baby daddy got out of prison, I was trying to keep it under wraps that I was doing hoodoo and voodoo because it wasn't really socially acceptable at that time. It still kind of isn't, but for the most part, like, spirituality is more accepted now. But at that time, it wasn't. So I was trying to keep it under wraps and kind of, you know, do my stuff in the dark, so to speak, and, you know, start my little spiritual journey on my own. When my baby daddy got out of prison, he came to live with me, and somehow he stumbled upon some books, like some hoodoo books that I had, and he asked me one day, he's like, what is this? Is this yours? Or is this like one of your family members? And I just told him, I was like, it's mine. And then I ended up telling him, like, coming out to him, like, I was like, I got something to tell you. Like, I've been doing voodoo. I've been getting into voodoo and hoodoo. And he was like, I already knew that. He was like, I already knew. I was just wondering when you was going to tell me, right? So he started getting into it with me. He started learning about the Orishas and the Luwa, and he started learning hoodoo with me. So we were learning it together, right? So all this time, we're like actually growing in our spirituality together. He was very studious in this, like, and it was so attractive to see, like, how much he was invested in that. It's something that really brought us together at a certain point in time. But eventually, he's kind of started veering off into the IFA direction. So, like, that's more so like African spirituality, where they deal with the Orishas and stuff like that. And that's a very close practice that you're really not supposed to, I guess, practice or get into unless you're initiated. I went more of the Haitian voodoo, New Orleans voodoo route, where we deal with Loa. So we kind of started veering off into like two different directions of our spirituality, which was cool with me because we still kind of met in the middle, right? But then I started noticing that he started dealing with, like, I guess, Orisha that would be more considered of I don't want to say demonic. Like, I'm trying to really be careful because I'm not trying to offend anybody who may be watching, anybody who's in IFA. And again, I don't know anything about IFA that much. You know, that wasn't really my path of direction. So if I say anything that is wrong or offensive, apologies. I'm not trying to offend anybody. But he started dealing with deities and spirits that were more so considered demonic, like Ishu and stuff like that, right? So I started to notice he was starting to veer off. He started doing more like animal sacrifices. He sacrificing. He was doing stuff that I was like, whoa, like I'm not really into like that, you know. And I noticed that he started getting more power hungry, things like that. So we started veering off. Like we really started, and our relationship really started veering off because I was like, he doing some dark shit that I'm really not into, right? So eventually, now I'm going to say the part where I'm going to talk about the part where I really feel like he started trying to be like me. Like he started trying to call himself the voodoo child. Like I had been calling myself the voodoo lady. Like he started to be like me. Like at first it started like him trying to imitate the things that I was doing. And then it came down to him like trying to really be like me, to where I was like, this is not cool. Like, you know, it started to be imitation. So eventually we broke up and I moved completely on. Like after we had been together for like a good off and on about 10 years at this point, we had a son, you know, and really I felt like he wanted me to just be, he didn't want to. So at this point we had broken up and I felt like he didn't want to be with me, as far as like be with me, get married and do the whole family thing. But I feel like he wanted me to want to be with him, if that makes any sense. Like he wanted me to be still obsessed with him. He wanted me to still want him, even though he wanted to really do his own thing, which at that point, when I was like done with him, I was done with him. I had done the cord cutting, the black walnut bath to cut cords with him and everything like that, because I was just like done. Like it was back and forth for 10 years and I really wanted to move on with my life because I wanted to get married. I wanted to like have more kids, and you know, I wanted to do the whole family thing, and it was just pretty clear that he didn't want to do that. But it seemed like, again, he just wanted me underneath his thumb. He didn't want to be with me and he didn't want to do right by me. But he just wanted to have me in the capacity that he wanted to have me, and he didn't want nobody else to have me too. So keep that in mind. So at this point, I moved on. I'm dating a little bit here and there, but for the most part, I was single for a good maybe year or two, just healing. So I'm dating here and there, you know, doing my little thug thizzle, you know, getting my little swerve on or whatever like that. I noticed that every time I got a boyfriend, he would try to run them off. Like he would try to come back and like try to do the, you know, try to act like he wanted to pursue me again. And, you know, until he ran that person off. Like he would try to be with me again until like he ran the other guy off. And this kind of went like that for a little while, to where I was really like, something's gotta give. Like he really started showing like narcissistic traits at this point, because it's like, you don't really want me, you don't really want to do right by me or be with me in a capacity that I need for you to be, but you don't want nobody else to have me either. Like every time I got a little, I wouldn't even say a boyfriend, but a little friend, he would like do weird stuff. Like he'll be like texting me, blowing up my phone at like 7 o'clock in the morning or like 10, 11 o'clock at night, to where, and he would be talking about our son, but it would be to where the other person would be like, why is he texting you early in the morning? Why is he texting you late at night? Like, why, you know what I'm saying? Like he would just do stuff that would interfere in, you know, my relations, until that other person would just get fed up and be like, I don't know what you got going on with your baby daddy, but you know, I don't want to deal with it. Like it was baby daddy drama. Basically, he would be causing drama. So mind you, at this point, he starts, I guess, talking to this other girl, like, and they start, trying to be together or whatever. And I didn't care at this point. I'm like, girl, take my problems from me. Like, girl,
Okay.
please do. So, but he ends up getting with this girl that I guess she called herself, I don't know if she would call herself a witch, but she was like a child of Oshun, which I had, been dealing with Oshun in the past, and everybody knew me as a Oshun girl at a certain point in my journey. And I just felt like, he was trying to get a girl that was like me, but she couldn't do it like me. But anyways, at this point, I'm like, I don't really care. Like, go ahead, like, And so the girl started trying to do little weird shit, like plan my son's birthday party and then invite me to it. She'd plan his birthday party and then do all of this stuff and then try to invite me to my own son's birthday party. She tried to buy my son all of these like Jordans and get my son's hair done. And mind you, I never met this girl before, but I'm like, I ain't even gonna try to, like, he was trying to triangulate me and this girl, and I just wasn't having it. I never wanted to meet her. I just was like, I'm not really trying to, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, if she's taking care of my son, if she's buying him stuff, if she's getting his hair done and buying him Jordans, girl, go ahead and do it if that's what you feel like you want to do in order to get into his good graces, because I don't care. But at the same time, she was just doing weird shit, and she started stepping over boundaries pretty early. And like, at this point, I'm cussing everybody out, because I'm like, how you gonna plan my own son's birthday party and then invite me to the birthday party? And I'm like, I don't want to go, because this was the first time that me and her was gonna meet. I didn't really feel like that was an appropriate setting for me and her to meet at a birthday party that was my son's birthday party that she paid for and all this other weird shit. Like, the girl was just being hella weird. And at this point, I'm starting to notice that not only is he obsessed with me because he's trying to make me jealous with this girl, but she's obsessed with me because she's trying to do shit that gets up underneath my skin. And I'm like, girl, why? Like, I don't give a about you or that nigga. I don't give a about what y'all got going on, what y'all doing. As long as my son is safe and happy, I really don't care. But so they invited me to the birthday party that they planned for my son. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to go. Me and my son is just going to do something, separate of you. So my son comes home and he's like, well, why didn't you come to my birthday party? And my son starts crying. So at this point, I'm mad as because I'm like, you dumb is creating a wedge between me and my son because both of you motherfuckers is obsessed with me in a weird ass way and trying to do weird shit. Basically, it comes to a point where my baby daddy was trying to get with this girl. Now, mind you, she had 3 kids. At this time, I only had my son, and he only had my son, and she had 3 kids. So it comes to a point where basically my baby daddy is trying to take my son away from me and play house with this girl, and she's trying to be not the stepmom, she's trying to be the mom, right? On some weird ass fucking Brene and Akira type shit. You know what I'm saying? So at this point, I cuss everybody out. I read everybody they rights, and I tell this girl straight up, I'm like, because he was trying to take my son and really just like, trying to take him full time, like have full custody of my son. And she's over here chiming in like, oh, just do the right thing for your son once. And this, like, she's all up in our business. And I'm like, for one, me and you ain't never had no problems co-parenting until this weird ass comes into the picture. And my thing is, I don't understand why she's being so weird, because I don't want your motherfucking ass. I don't want you. I don't care. I'm not jealous that you're with somebody, even though, he told me he didn't want to be in a relationship. He didn't want to be married. He didn't want to have no more kids, all this X, Y, and Z. And then he goes with this girl, and he tells me straight up, like, one day he tells me before he gets with this girl, oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to go get married to somebody else, and I'm going to go have more kids, and I'm going to be a good family man and all this other stuff. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, I don't give a do it then. Like, if she know, like I know, she'll find out the reason. You know what I'm saying? She'll find out the reason why we're not together. I really don't care. So then he goes and gets this girl, and he starts trying to do it, like trying to be, you know, like this family guy. And I guess he thought that this was supposed to make me jealous, but it didn't. I was enjoying being single. I was enjoying dating and, you know, having my freedom after being with this man for all these years, you know, when he's basically just leading me on because, you know, he didn't want the same things that I want, but he didn't want to let me go either, right? It's clear that he's trying to do all of this stuff with this girl to make me jealous, but I really didn't care, you know. But it got to the point where not only is he obsessed with me, this girl's obsessed with me too. So she's texting my phone like, oh, do what's best for your son for once. And I'm like, girl, let me tell you something. That man is gay and on the down low. The reason why he don't want to get married, reason why he don't want to have more kids, Y and Z. I'm at this point, you're fucking with my child. I'm just gonna read everybody their rights. I'm like, girl, you ran through, you a bust down, you got 3 baby, you know, I don't know how many, but you got 3 kids, and you bust down. This is the best that he can do. So leave me alone, because once I start getting mad, I'm a Leo. Once I start getting mad, please don't make me mad. Push me and push all these buttons. But when I get mad, I'm gonna walk you down, and I'm gonna read everybody their rights, and I'm gonna read everybody to filth. You don't give a fuck, okay? At that point, so I'm reading this her rights, and I'm reading this because at this point you fucking with me, and I'm not fucking with you. And at this point, this girl starts becoming. At this point, she had already been obsessed with me, so weirdly obsessed with me. So was his. And you already got the nigga that you wanted, supposedly. You got my baby daddy, supposedly, quote unquote. Why is you worried about me? Like, it just came to the point that it was clear that these didn't just, they wanted my life. They wanted my energy. They wanted my clout. They wanted my fame. They wanted my, like, they wanted my life. And it started to become, like, scary and weird, and still is, because it's like, at this point, he's done tried to imitate me. That didn't work. He wasn't getting the same love. He wasn't getting the same money. He wasn't getting the same favor. Because I'm chosen, like I'm anointed by God. It doesn't matter. It ain't, it's in me. It's not on me. So he done tried to imitate me. He done got upset that it didn't work right. Then that's when the obsession starts. Like, then him and this girl is obsessed with me. And it just started getting really scary. He started gang stalking me. The girl started gang stalking me. She's texting. At this time, I have been living in Atlanta by myself with my son for about 4 years. I had a 2-bedroom apartment, real nice, laid out. My son had his own room. And at this point, I'm doing my dishes pretty much full time. Like, my dishes is selling like hotcakes. Now remember, I told you, my dishes is like a love spell in a bottle. They are great for PCOS, endometriosis. They tighten and tone the vaginal walls. Just so great. And women who were suffering from infertility was able to get pregnant with my dishes. They were out, like, every time I would put them, like, every time I would advertise them, they'd sell out. They were selling out. I was backed up, like, so much, like, because my dishes was selling out. So at this point, I really didn't have to work. I didn't work no regular job because my dishes was making me like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month. They just kept selling out. Now, mind you, this is when I started to see that my baby daddy was getting jealous of me, because he would say little passive aggressive things like, oh, well, I can't just sit in the house and make money from the house. I got to go out and work. And, oh, I can't just, blah, blah, blah. I can't just hustle and make money, blah, 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 blah. Weird flex. Okay. That was a weird thing to say, but all right, whatever. So at this point, I can tell that he's starting to get jealous of me. Plus, mind you, my baby daddy never paid me a dime in child support. If he'll give me some money, he'll give me like $100, $150 at the most. Now, mind you, again, I told you, I'm living by myself with my son, so I'm paying all my bills by myself. You know, I'm taking care of everything ladies that my mama had gave me when she passed. Much living it up. I'm getting money. Like, life is good at this point, right? Also, my baby daddy was just like, he was just being really jealous, being really spiteful. And anytime I would ask him for any money, he'd just get real indignant. And now, mind you, my baby daddy is the type of man that can never live on their own, can never stand on their 2 feet. He either need to live with a bitch or live with a family member or live with his brother or, you know, anything, because he's the type of man that cannot stand on his own 2 feet. And the fact that I stood on my own 2 feet for so long by myself after my mom had passed from COVID. I didn't really keep no job because at the time I'm a witch. Like, I'm getting money for my dishes. I'm doing work for people. I'm getting money. Like, I really didn't have to work. Like, that was my job. I was doing my business. And he was just so jealous of that. Okay. So now let's get to the part where I started to figure out that he was throwing death magic at me. Like, I started to kind of figure it out, but I really didn't know it was him. Due to the simple fact that I had a few different like enemies. Like, I had fallen out with friends, I had fallen out with different witches, and I really didn't know where the attacks was coming from, but I knew that they were coming. So here's the main number one sign and symptom, I guess you would say, of how I knew that somebody, but it was him at the time, was throwing death magic at me. I got real sick. I had got COVID like really, really bad. And I was in bed for like a week. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't move. I couldn't taste nothing. I couldn't smell nothing. And then the major sign was that my pets started dying. Like a little French bulldog. His name was Sonny. R.I.P. my nigga Sonny, okay? He was a real one. So he kept getting sick out of nowhere. Like, my dog kept getting sick. Like, it was so crazy because, like, my dog got so sick, he was just turning around in circles all day. Like, his equilibrium was off. Like, it was scary. And I didn't know what was wrong with him. I didn't know what kept being wrong with him. That's a good sign that you'll know when you're being afflicted by witchcraft, especially death magic, because things will happen with no rhyme or no reason, and it's hard to decipher it, and doctors or vets couldn't really do anything about it. You get sick, or if your pet gets sick. So my nigga Sonny gets sick. I don't know what's wrong with him. So it ended up that he ended up passing away, right? So I still didn't peep the setup. You know, I'm just thinking that this is just a coincidence, you know, that he was a French bulldog, and French bulldog, you know, and he died. But I did a return to sender spell, right? I did a return to sender spell. And a week later, my baby daddy's dog dies. Okay. So after this is happening, like, here's another way how I know that he was doing spells on me, not just death spells, but spells to fuck up my money, my business. Like, this nigga's coming for my jugular. He's coming for everything that I have. So my money starts being fucked up. Like, I'm not making money, like, because I manifest money like nothing, like water. I manifest buku, just thousands of dollars out of nowhere. I don't have to work. Like, I'm a gangster at manifesting money, okay? So my money start being fucked up. My finances start drying up. Like, my bills is getting cut off. Like, you know what I'm saying? Shit like that. That I'm like, what the actually going on? And at the same time, I'm coming into my spiritual awakening with God, to where, like, I'm not going to do any more witchcraft. I'm not going to do any more spells. I'm not going to do anything. Now, remind you, I told you in my tips for witches that money work and protection work is something that you always continuously have to do. You always have to do that. It's not bad. It's not left-handed. It's not baneful work. Protection and money spells is something that you're always going to continuously have to do in this realm, right? But I stopped doing everything. I threw away all my candles, all my oils, all my herbs. Like, I'm like, I'm living for God. I'm on fire for God. I'm reading my Bible. But at the same time, that's when this nigga ambushed me when I really didn't even know it was spiritual war. I'm thinking I'm living for God. I'm doing right. You know, I'm not bothering nobody. You know, I'm thinking I'm doing right by God. That's when the motherfucker really, really came at me. That's when the devil, Satan, the adversary, that's when he really came and ambushed me like a motherfucker. Once I started walking with God and really trying to do right, came the fuck up on me. And my baby daddy was a vessel for that. Like he was a vessel for that. Just like God has his children, Satan has his children too. And at this point, my baby daddy is not even, he's not there anymore. He's totally taken over by a demon, like a demonic spirit at this point. Like whatever he had summoned, whatever he had been sacrificing those animals to, whatever he had conjured has taken over him at this point. He's not even there no more. This nigga wouldn't help me with nothing. You know, he's throwing spells at me. He's doing all this crazy shit. So it come to the point where I'm like, okay, my mama passed away from COVID in 2019, 2020. And at the end of 2019, about to be 2020. And I had to leave. I wanted to leave Georgia because I'm like, I'm fucked up. My money's fucked up. And I need to go back home because I have a home. My mama left me our family home in Ohio, right? So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna take my son. I'm gonna go home. But at this point, I'm like, I'm not coming back to Atlanta because I had just felt like it was such dark energy in Atlanta. Like I had experienced a lot of good things, but a lot of bad things in Atlanta as well. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go back home to Ohio. I'm gonna go back home to my house, and you know, I'm gonna regroup and figure out what I'm gonna do next. Okay, so this is at the point we're at now, where he wants me to leave my son with him in Georgia. And he's like, oh yeah, no, you just go to Ohio, get yourself together, and when you come back, you know, blah 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 blah, I'll give him back to you. And I'm like, nigga, no, give me my son, give me my child. He's watching him for the summer, and at the end of the summer, I'm like, you know what, my money's still funny, I'm just gonna go ahead and go to Ohio. Go ahead and give me back my son. This man, this crazy deranged motherfucker gonna tell me, no, I'm not gonna give you back your son. You gonna have to call. I told him I'm gonna call the police on you to bring me back my son. He gonna say, you gonna have to call the police, and the police gonna have to kill me, shoot me and kill me in front of my son in order for you to get your son back. So at this point, I'm like, shit, that could be arranged. So I called the police. Come. They tell him that he has to give me back my child because in Georgia, if you're unwed, the mother has sole physical custody of the child. You know, we didn't have no custody agreement or anything at the time, right? So he has to give me back my son. We go ahead and go up to Ohio. This is at the point where his weird ass fucking girlfriend or whatever she is at this point is texting me. Mind you, I've still never spoken to this bitch, never met this bitch. She ain't never breathed my air. I don't know this bitch from a can of motherfucking paint. She's texting my phone like, oh, do what's best for your son for once, this, that, and the third. Now, mind you, I told you, for the past 4 years, I'm staying in the apartment by myself. I have my own place, paid off car. My son got his own room. He got his own everything. He's got the newest of everything, the most of everything. I'm doing my business, so I'm not even working a 9-to-5 job too tough like that. Like, if times will get hard, I'll go and get a work from home job or whatever and work it for a little while until I get some money, and then I'll go right back to doing my business. So at this point, I'm picking my son up every day from school, dropping him off and picking him up. You know, my son has the best of everything. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, bitch, what the fuck are you even talking about? I don't know what this man is telling you, but bitch, you got the game fucked up, because at this point, my baby daddy, he stayed with somebody. He was staying with his brother. His brother had a girlfriend. The girlfriend had a kid. And so they packed up in a 2-bedroom apartment with them two whole different families, him and his brother. They packed up in their apartment like roaches. My son ain't got his own room. He don't got his own bed. He don't got nothing at his dad's house. Even with his, at at his grandparents' house, which is my baby daddy's parents. They stay about 10 minutes away. They don't got no room for him. Like, they kids still, my baby daddy's sister still stayed with her mama, with her boyfriend and her kid. So I'm saying all this to say, he ain't have his own room. He ain't have his own bed nowhere but with me. So I'm like, what are you even talking about? You know, so she's texting my phone. Oh, do what's best for your son for once. This and the third. I'm like, bitch, again, this nigga's gay and on the down low. Did you know that? Since you know everything about your degree, you stupid fucking bitch. Know that? My baby daddy is gay and on the down low. That's why he won't marry you. That's why he won't have no more kids with you. This nigga's in the motherfucking closet. Bitch, he a punk on the low. And I've been knowing this nigga's a punk. That's why I don't want him. He's jealous. He wanna be me. Cause he probably wish he had a pussy. Since you know every fucking thing. So after this point, it's pure war. At this point, this nigga's gunning for my head. In my mind, I'm like, I spoke my piece. I said what was real. And it is what the fuck it is. Like, this nigga like boys, okay? He a punk on the low. He like his butt played with. Since you know every fucking thing, find the business that pays you, hoe. Cause now I don't fuck up your whole day, huh? Now your whole day is fucked up, right? Don't fuck me or my son, right? So we go to Ohio. Everything's cool. Like, he's still calling, trying to send my son stuff, trying to, you know, call him and whatever X, Y, and Z. But at this point, I'm like, we're not coming back to Georgia. Like, I had been back and forth from Ohio to Georgia. You know what I'm saying? Going to Georgia, trying to be near his dad and his family, trying to facilitate, you know, my baby daddy being in my son's life. But at that point, it wasn't working out for me, because when things came down to it, he had my son, but he never had me. His family never had me. It wasn't a real support system, which he doesn't really have to. But at the same time, you're not giving me no child support. You're not helping me. You're not trying to do shit for me, which is weird and crazy, because nigga, I've been knowing you for 10 plus years since we was kids. Damn near, you know, since I'm 18 and you 22 or whatever the case may be. Like, you've been knowing me for years. You know my family. You know my grandma before she passed. You know my auntie. You know my mama before she passed. You know my whole family. So for you to not have my back when I'm always looking out for you, always looking out for your family, always trying to co-parent with you and keep things copacetic, even though we're not together. I didn't take you for no child support. I didn't take you for no custody. I never did nothing like that, because I'm trying to make it to where it's a amicable friendship, co-parenting relationship, to where my son does not so by this time I'm in Ohio. Me and my son were in Ohio. I get a job. I'm doing my business again. Everything's going well. I'm making good money. Like, everything's going well. In this part of Ohio that I live in, it's very, like, predominantly area. And my son wasn't like getting well acclimated to the area, because it's nothing but people and like looking at him, you know. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna figure out where we're gonna move to, but I'm not going back to Atlanta, because at this point I'm like, there's nothing for me in Atlanta. I don't want to be by my baby daddy. I don't want to be by his family. Like, I don't want no parts, basically. So that happened. So I decide I'm gonna move to Texas. My job had a main headquarters in Texas, in Houston, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna move there. My job ended up like transferring me. They paid for me to move and everything. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to Texas, get myself situated for the summer and everything, get everything set up, and then, you know, get my son in school and everything. My son kept saying he wanted to see his dad. My family, like my aunt and my brother and stuff, were kind of like low-key pressuring me, like, oh, he needs his dad in his life, you know, don't be one of those bitter baby mamas that don't let the father see their son, their child, X, Y, and Z. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll let him stay with my baby daddy for the summer, right? That was the biggest mistake that I probably ever made in my life. So I go drop my son off in Georgia. I drive from Ohio, drop my son off with his dad in Georgia. Now, at this point, I had already went to go take my son to see his dad in Georgia for spring break for a weekend. I dropped him off. Everything was fine. He gave me back my son. And so at this point, I felt like he has sort of lulled me into a false sense of security. So when I dropped him off in May at the end of the school year, I was, too trusting. I was trusting him. So at this point, I drop him off. I leave my car there. I told you I had a Mercedes. It's paid off, that my mom had given to me when she passed. So I leave my son there. I leave my Mercedes there because I'm going to get my Mercedes transported from Georgia to Texas once I get settled in, right? And I also leave. I had a little puppy. I had bought my son a little puppy for his birthday in April. So I have a little puppy. I drop off, my son, the puppy, in my car. I know. Don't say it. I know. So a couple months go by. The summer goes by. I get my own place. Everything's going well. I'm still working. The job paid for me to move, everything. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm in Texas. My baby daddy is in Georgia. My baby daddy is originally from New Orleans. So I'm like, okay, well, when it's time for me to get my car and my dog and my son and everything, meet me in New Orleans, which is more or less 6 hours from Georgia and 6 hours from Houston. So we're meeting in the middle. So every time, now I notice my baby daddy starts getting sketchy. He's not answering the phone as much. He's not letting me talk to my son as much. He's not FaceTiming. Like, he starts getting very sketchy and evasive. So my spidey senses start tingling. So at the end of July, I'm talking to my son, and my son tells me, he's like, Mom, can you come and get me? Right? That's all I needed to hear. Like, I drove 16 hours, like the whole hour plus, like the whole way, plus, stopping and everything like that. Plus, by this time, I had met someone. Like, I was pretty serious with this person. Now, before my baby daddy realized that I'm with somebody, he's being all nice. He's letting me talk to my son, everything like that. But it's starting to get more and more, like, sporadic. Like, it started being less and less of him letting me talk to my son, him letting me FaceTime my son and everything like that. So at the end of July, my son tells me, come and get me. Mom, can you come and get me? So that's all I had to hear. I dropped everything and I drove the whole full way to Atlanta with my boyfriend to go and get my son, right? So when I get there, he's like surprised that I'm popped up. He's surprised because he kept saying, oh yeah, oh no, we'll meet in New Orleans. I'll meet you. I'll bring you your son. I'll bring him to you next weekend. And then when it comes next weekend, he'll be like, oh no, you said next weekend. Oh, and then he kept coming up with all these excuses. Oh, I have to get a rent-a-car. Oh, it's expensive. Oh, well, maybe I'll just fly him out there. Like, he starts making up all these excuses, like, just being really weird. At this point, like, my spidey senses is on high alert, okay? So my son tells me to come get him. I drive the whole way. He's surprised that, my baby daddy is surprised that I drove the whole way, that I popped up. So I come pop up. I come to his house. I'm like, hey, I see my car. My car is sitting there. Now, the battery in my car had died because it had been sitting there for a couple of few months, right? So I'm like, okay, it's late. I'll go, to a hotel, get some sleep, and we'll come back tomorrow with some jumper cables. I'll jump my car, and I'm going to drive my car back. You drive this car, back after we get my son, right? So before all of that happens, my baby daddy is like, oh, are you at my house? Are you at my house? I'm like, yeah, I'm here to get my son and my dog and, you know, my car. So he's like, oh, why you coming to my crib? Why you coming to my crib? Nigga, because I just said I'm coming to get my son and my car and my dog. So his brother's outside. So I'm like, hey, yo, you know, can you go and get my dog? And, you know, because my son wasn't there. He was with my baby daddy at the time, and they were out and about or whatever. So at this point, I'm asking my baby daddy's brother, I'm like, can you go and get my dog? So he goes to go get the dog. He comes back. The dog is emaciated. Like, the dog is skin and bones. So my dog is skin and freaking bones. It looked like he hadn't been feeding the dog for the whole time he was there. His nails wasn't clipped. It looked like he just left him in the cage. He wasn't taking him for a walk. The dog was covered in piss and shit. It was like he was trying to kill the dog too. Like, he was neglectful to the dog. My dog was like very scary, as if he had been beating the dog or like using the dog or whatever like that. And so at this point, I'm in a rage. I see my dog like this. Now, mind you, it doesn't matter how much the dog, you know, costs or is worth, but this is literally a $6,000-7,000 dog, like, literally. But it really doesn't matter. But this is an expensive ass dog that I just bought my son, you know, after his other dog passed away unexpectedly, remember? So the dog is skin and bones. The dog is emaciated. The dog is covered in piss and shit, as if he never walks the dog. So at this point, I'm in a rage. So I'm like telling my baby daddy, where are you at? Bring me my son. He's still like stalling. My baby daddy's like stalling. Oh, I'll be there in 15 minutes. 15 minutes go by. He's still not there. Oh, I'll be there in another 15 minutes. Come to find out, my baby daddy had done called the police on me, trying to make it seem like I'm like disturbing the peace or harassing him or something like that. So I'm like, what you calling the police on me for? So I leave. I'm like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna let you have my son for one more night. I've been driving for 16 hours. I'm tired. Like, you can have him for the night. I'm gonna go to a hotel, get some rest. Tomorrow I'm coming to pick up my son. So say your goodbyes. I'm picking up my son. So the next day I get there. Of course, he's not answering. He's not letting me get my son. He's just not being cooperative. That's the word I'm looking for, at all. So I call the police again. I call the police this time. The police come out. Now, incoincidentally, this is one of the same police officers that came the year before when I had to call the police to get my son back. Like, so this is not the first time that this man is just doing this crazy shit, right? So the police go to the apartment, they knock on the door, and like, I guess his girlfriend or somebody comes and answers the door and says that my baby daddy and my son is not there. They believe him. They believe her. So the girl is like, oh, they're at the mother's house. So remember I told you my baby daddy's mother stays like 10 minutes away. The police calls another police dispatch to go to their house. They're not there either. So this man ran off with my son. He has my son. He won't give him back. I don't know where he is. Like, he's not answering like the phone for me. Like, he's got me, like, I don't know if he's got me blocked, but he's just not answering the phone for me at this point. So I don't know where my son is. I don't know where he is, and do anything about it because they don't know where he is. So I'm like, okay, this is really crazy. So I go into the apartment complex to just go and get my car, right? So I'm like, okay, we got the jumper cables and everything. So we're going to go and jump my car, and, you know, we'll figure out how to get my son, you know, after that. So we get into the apartment complex. We go to where my car was. Again, I told you, the car, paid off Mercedes that my mom had given to me, like, before she passed. We get into the apartment complex. My mama's car is gone. My car is gone, completely gone. Like, I don't know what happened to it. I don't know where it's at. So now this nigga done pulled a whole red herring, a whole diversion to get me on this wild goose chase to try to figure out where my car is at. So I go to the leasing office and I'm like, first of all, the leasing office is closed on the weekends. So there's that. So my boyfriend, he goes and he figures out, like, he calls the leasing office, he calls the maintenance, he calls, and he ends up reaching somebody to find out, like, what is the towing company that, you know, that services the apartment complex. So he finds out the towing company. We figure out where the towing company is. We go to the towing company and we're like, do you have this car? Looking for my Mercedes. They're like, no, we didn't tow your car. We don't know where it is. We haven't impounded it. We never stored it. We don't know anything about. So at this point, I'm like, okay, so my baby daddy has stolen my car now. He tried to kill my dog. He's taken my son and kidnapped my son. I don't know where my son is at. And he's gotten my car towed somewhere that I don't know where, like, you know, to throw me off of trying to get my son back, right? So I make a police report for the car because the car is just totally gone. I make a police report that the car is stolen, right? So at this point, I'm still working. I wasn't expecting for all this extra shit to be going on. I was expecting to go to Georgia, get my son, get my car, get my dog, and go on back to Texas. So, you know, because I had to be at work. So at this point, it's Sunday and I have to be back to work on Monday. So I'm like, okay, let me go back. I'm gonna go back to Texas and try to regroup myself and figure out what I'm gonna be doing, because at this point, this man done stole my car. The police is not helping. He's outrunning the police. I don't know what to do. So I'm calling the police. I'm trying to get them I go back to Texas. I'm calling the Georgia police. I'm trying to get them to help me. So they get me with the special victims unit with the detective, right? So the detective is not really taking this seriously, because all they're hearing is that this is his father. This is, you know, that I dropped him off with his father. And they're not taking this seriously as my son is kidnapped. They're not taking it seriously. They're just hearing that it's his father, and they're kind of like brushing it off. So finally, the special victims unit detectives gets like with my baby daddy, and at this point in time, my baby daddy had done got a lawyer. So the detectives tells my baby daddy, you have 48 hours to return her child back to her. You need to give her back her child within 48 hours. They gave him 48 hours to return my child twice. Each time he did not do it. He did not return my child. He instead went to go get a lawyer, began taking me to court. Mind you, he had not legitimized my child. Not on my son's birth certificate. My son was 9 years old at the time. He's 10 now. He had not legitimized the child. He was not on my son's birth certificate. And he then took me to court and began lying to the court, saying that I abandoned my child, that my child was dependent, that I dropped my son off and he didn't know that I was going to drop my child off, that he didn't know where I was or when I was coming back, which was clearly a lie. I had text messages, evidence, police reports, and everything like that. This man then got a lawyer. The lawyer, of course, lied for him, took me to court, and I didn't even know. He had an emergency hearing, and from then on, he was able to basically gain leverage from lying to the courts. And from then on, he just continued telling the courts that that I was mentally that I was suffering from mental illness, that I had abandoned my child, that I was neglecting my child, just basically anything that he could say to keep my child from me. Since then, this has been over a year ago. Since then, I have not spoken to my child. I have not been able to talk to my child. Birthday, for Christmas, for any holidays, for Mother's Day, for his birthday, my birthday, that he was letting my family speak to my son prior to him taking my child from me. After that, he wouldn't allow my family to speak to him, speak to my child, anything like that.
This is crazy.
And that's the humiliation ritual. He stood in front of all of those people and lied blatantly with no, he didn't care like about sitting up there lying. He didn't care about trying to humiliate me in front of these white folks. Sorry, I mean they was black folks, but in front of the courts, he just basically did that, allowed his lawyer to lie, allowed them to fabricate all of these things, and took my child away from me. I haven't seen my son in over a year. I've been battling him in court, back and forth, trying to get my son back. But again, this man stole my car. And then after he stole my car, and I reported it stolen and reported it to the insurance that it was stolen, he then contacted the insurance company and said that my car was towed, not stolen. They took his word for it. Like, this man is such a narcissist and a demonic entity. Like, seriously, he's a narcissist and a pathological liar. And it's partly my fault for trusting this man, with my child, for trusting his family. But that is the reason why I got away from him. That is the reason why I left out of the state and took my child the first time, and then was basically guilt tripped. Oh, that's his father, you can't keep him away from his father. And then I let him see his child, and you turn around and do that. So remember, at this time I told you I was in a relationship with someone, and when he found out that I was in that relationship, all the gloves were off for him. It didn't matter that he's been in a relationship for over four probably years. I haven't dealt with this man since the pandemic. Okay, I haven't dealt with this man on that level since 2020. And again, like I said, I hadn't really been in no relationship or anything like that. I had just been kind of just healing, doing my own thing. I might have like a little fling or whatever, but it wasn't anything serious. As soon as I got a boyfriend and we started really trying to be serious with each other, it's like he attacked me then. Like, he really, really attacked me then. And he took everything away from me. And now, like, I'm going through what is like post-separation abuse. And people always say, like, when people are in bad situations, or when women are in, domestic violence situations with narcissists, whether it's physical or psychological or anything like that, why don't you just leave? Why don't you just leave? This is what happens when you leave. This is what happens when you stand up for yourself. This is what happens when you move on. And I'm still going through it. And this man has also just been dibbling and dabbling in witchcraft, trying to do anything he can do to get one up on me, anything he can do to hurt me, including using my child. He doesn't care that my child hasn't seen his mother. He doesn't care that my child hasn't spoken to his mother. He honestly doesn't care about any of that. He's taken my child and gone on with his new girlfriend or whatever she is now. I don't know. They've had a baby, and they're over there playing house with my child, trying to basically cut me completely out of it, out of my son's life, claiming that that's what I was trying to do, claiming that I was trying to take my son and move on with my life and all this other stuff, which I was trying to move on with my life, but I was still, it was never my intention to take my son from his father. It was my intention to get away from his father. So that is basically what's going on now, and it's to be continued. And that is the story.
There's too much going on with this case, but the first thing I want us to talk about is the spiritual practices she mentioned. Voodoo, hoodoo, spell work, all of that. I'm going to be straight with you. We don't mess with that over here. I don't care how it's packaged. I don't care if people say there's good magic and bad magic. If it's not of God, it's not for us. And what happened to her, that's exactly why. When you open doors to spirits that aren't the Holy Spirit, you don't get to control what walks through. She said it herself. When she tried to turn to God, that's when everything fell apart. That's not a coincidence. That's spiritual warfare. And the enemy doesn't fight fair. So if you're out here thinking you can dabble in darkness and still be covered by the light, learn from her story. You can't serve two masters. You just can't. Now, setting that aside, let's talk about the custody situation, because this is where I need parents, especially mothers, to pay attention. She made a choice that a lot of us might have made. Family pressured her. They said the child needs his father. Don't be a bitter baby mama. And because she wanted to do right by her son, she sent him for the summer. But here's the thing. She already knew. This man had tried to keep her son before. The police had to get involved the first time. He had shown her exactly who he was, and she still gave him another chance. I'm not saying this to blame her. I'm saying this because some of you are in similar situations right now. You've got family telling you to let it go. Friends saying kids need both parents. And yes, that's true when both parents are safe and stable. But when somebody has already shown you they will use your child as a weapon, believe them the first time. Document everything. Get custody agreements in writing. Don't operate on trust with someone who's proven they can't be trusted. I don't care if he's not on child support. I don't care if you're trying to keep things peaceful. Protect your child first. Peace comes second. And for those of you who think not putting a man on child support means he'll be cooperative, look at this case. She never took him for a dime, and he still destroyed her life. Not because she did something wrong, because he couldn't control her anymore. That's what narcissists do. They don't want you. They just don't want anyone else to have you. And when you move on, when you find happiness, when you start building without them, that's when they strike. He told her to her face. He didn't want to be with her, but he didn't want her to be with anyone else either. And when she got a new relationship, when she started thriving, he took the one thing he knew would break her, their son. Now let's talk about the courts, because this is the part that makes my blood pressure go up. How does a man with no legal custody, no name on the birth certificate, and a history of withholding the child just get to keep him? How does he lie about abandonment when she's got text messages, phone records, and evidence that she was communicating the whole time? The answer is simple, and it's ugly. He got a lawyer, he lied, and the system didn't do its job. This happens more than people think. Fathers who've never been involved suddenly show up with lawyers talking about parental rights, and courts, especially in certain states, will bend over backwards to give fathers a chance, even when the mother has been doing everything right. I'm not saying fathers don't deserve to be in their kids' lives. I'm saying the system needs to protect children first and parental egos second. And right now, it's not doing that. If you're going through something like this, here's what you need to know. Get a lawyer. I don't care if you have to sell everything you own. A lawyer is not optional in these situations. Document every interaction. Keep texts, emails, call logs, everything. File police reports when things happen, not later, right then. Because that paper trail is the only thing that's going to save you when someone lies in court. And if someone takes your child and refuses to return them, that's kidnapping. I don't care if it's the other parent. Call the police. File reports, make noise. Don't wait. Don't assume the system will fix it on its own, because it won't. This woman hasn't seen her son in over a year. Think about that. A whole year of birthdays, holidays, milestones, gone. And for what? Because a man couldn't let go of his ego. Because he'd rather hurt her than see her happy. Because the system allowed it, and that baby, he's the one really paying the price. He called his mama and asked her to come get him. That tells you everything you need to know about what he's going through. But nobody's listening to him. Nobody's protecting him. And that's the real tragedy here. So what can we learn from this? 1. Don't play with spiritual forces you don't understand. Period. 2. Document everything when you're co-parenting with someone you don't trust. 3. Get legal agreements in writing. Don't rely on good faith. 4. When someone shows you they'll weaponize your child, believe them and protect accordingly. And 5. Fight, don't give up. I don't care how tired you are, how broke you are, how hopeless it feels. That's your child. You keep fighting. I'm praying this woman gets her son back. I'm praying the courts finally do what's right, and I'm praying that her story wakes some of you up before you end up in the same situation. Protect your peace, protect your children, and stay away from people who can't let you go. This is Deadly Affairs. I'll see you in the next one.